Have you ever looked around the shop, maybe the job site, and thought to yourself, how the heck did I end up here? And maybe you said, is this really what I've signed up for? This episode is brought to you by The Hub, our business growth made simple community built just for residential service contractors who are ready to get unstuck and grow with purpose. If you've ever said, I just need a plan, we built The Hub for you. Start with our free 2-minute quiz at genesisbusinessstrategies.com and find out if your business is set up to run without you. You know, I've been there. I've taken the time to look around and just wonder, what was I thinking? How did I get here? You know, I met up with a guy named Mike several years ago. And Mike runs a small plumbing company, just a couple of guys. You know, he doesn't cut corners. He always gives the customer the best price. His customer service is phenomenal. I mean, he's the kind of guy who would show up for you on a Sunday afternoon because you've got 3 kids, no hot water, and you really just want your wife to get off your back. And we met at a supply house lunch and learn. And, you know, those can be fun, but I think we connected mainly because we were about the same size. I did HVAC, he did plumbing. And we kind of thought the same way. We worked the same way. And we would often, he didn't do any HVAC at all. And I did very, very little plumbing. Mostly not, just faucets or something simple. The occasional water heater. But we just hit it off and we started connecting with each other. And fast forward a couple years later, I sold my company. Well, after I sold the company, he called me up. And he wasn't joking like he usually was. He wasn't sarcastic. He was kind of down in the dumps. And he said, Steve, I just fired my 3rd guy this month. My wife says I'm never home. My kids don't even ask if I'll be at their games anymore. And my van's got a busted transmission, and I can't afford to fix it. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I just feel like my wheels are spinning. Now, if you have ever had a moment like that, maybe not exactly the same, but the kind where it seems like the wheels are coming off the bus, they're not going round and round anymore, everything's falling apart, then you kind of know the feeling. And sometimes you start to think, should I just go back to working for somebody? Is this whole thing even worth it? Why in the world did I start this business in the first place? Mike was there. And here's the thing that really, really got me. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't dumb. And he really, really cared about his clients. He was failing because he'd lost the one thing that keeps all of us moving forward. Mike lost his vision. You know, when Mike first started his business, he had told me he had a crystal clear picture in his head. He wanted freedom. He wanted to be present with his family. He wanted to make good money doing great work. He wanted to build something he could be proud of. Maybe even pass it on to his son one day. 3 years into his business, that picture had gotten completely blurred. Got buried under emergency calls, hiring headaches, van repairs, angry Yelp reviews, and sleepless nights wondering how in the world to make payroll. Honestly, I think that's the story for a lot of business owners, and especially in the trades. You know, usually most of us don't start our companies with a business plan to begin with. We start it with a set of skills and a truck. Sometimes we use the old family van. Sometimes we use the old beat up pickup truck that we've been waiting to replace but got tired of working for the company we're working for. Start working on the side, and you know what? I bet I can do this better than my boss. You know, I'm going to work for me. And then before you know it, you've built a business, but the business owns you. And you didn't mean to. We just keep putting out the fires and calling it progress. So what really is vision? Vision's not a fancy document with big words. It's the picture of the life you're building. It's a mental snapshot of what your days will look like, what your business provides for your family, and what kind of legacy you're building. What kind of people you want to work with. What kind of customers you want to serve. And without that picture, we default to survival mode. And survival mode feels a lot like, well, we've all been there, saying yes to everybody because you're afraid the phone might stop ringing. You never take the time to train your team or yourself anymore because you don't have the time. You're always putting out fires. And you say to yourself, you know what, I'm just going to work a couple of hours on Saturday and maybe a couple hours Sunday to try and catch up. Right? So Mike wasn't broken. He was directionless. Directionless feels like drowning. Slowly. You know, you can be treading water all day and still not get any closer to the beach. You know, after that phone call, Mike and I met up at a coffee shop. I brought a yellow legal pad, a couple of pens, and I said, Mike, we're not going to talk about payroll. Today, we are not going to talk about our trucks or our angry customers. We're not going to talk about the bad Yelp reviews. But what we are going to talk about is the why behind the business. If this business did everything you want, Mike, what would your life look like? And it's funny because he sat back and I could see the wheels turning. And he started talking out loud. I said, we're not going to talk about profit margins, KPIs, SOPs, none of that. If the business did everything you wanted to do, what would your life look like? And after a couple minutes of silence, which is kind of hard for me, honestly, he said, I'd be home for dinner at 6. I'd coach my daughter's soccer team. I would take my wife on a real vacation, not just to the in-laws' house. I'd have a team I trust to run the things while I'm gone. And that was his vision. Wasn't perfected. Wasn't polished. It was real. It was from his heart. And it was his. And once he clarified that, that vision became what we call his North Star, his guiding light. The pin on your maps, on the GPS of where you're going. You know, we worked on some things. We tweaked a few things. A couple short months, he started seeing some things happen. And about 6 months later, Mike had cut his hours by 15 hours a week. He let go of a couple of bad fit clients. Clients that were not profitable, clients that were more trouble than what they were worth. He trimmed his clients. He found and hired a solid tech who had the same purpose and drive that he had. And instead of putting fires out, he started building systems. And he's not done, but he's not drifting either. And you don't have to drift. So let me ask you this. What do you want your business to do for your life in the next 3 years? Not how much do I want to gross, how many vans I want on the road. I'm talking about your life. Because when your life vision is clear, your decisions get easier. Your schedule gets more intentional. And your business stops feeling like a prison. So here's your challenge. Grab a sticky note. Grab a Post-it. Write this one question on it. What do I want my business to do for my life in 3 years? Stick it on the steering wheel. Stick it on the bathroom mirror. Put it up in the top left corner just underneath the oil change sticker that reminds you that it's probably 2 months past due. Let it bother you. Let it work on your mind all week, but don't overthink it. Just bring it from the heart. And if you're not 100% sure what you want out of it, talk to your spouse. Maybe they can help you with some questions. Hey, if you did this, we could do this. Or what do you think about this? And they're supposed to be your helpmate. Now, if you want help figuring where your business is really at, we've got a 2-minute quiz that gives you a custom score and one simple step. You'll find out if your business is set up to run without you, or if you've built yourself a very expensive job, which in this case means just over broke. Like I said, head over to genesisbusinessstrategies.com, take the quiz. If you got something out of this episode, share it with somebody else who's feeling stuck. That small act may be the push they need. Until next time, have a great week.